for every player before they actually do it.
Yeah, and
before Giannis won it last year.
Yeah. Same thing.
It's the same for every player.
Only player.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Phaithful Phanatics show live here on DSM Media as we stream to you guys through our Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook channels. If you're new to the channel, head on over to @DSM_media on Twitter. The link tree is in our bio to take you to every social media platform we are available on. And today I am joined by no other than the host of Diamond Talk and the Broad Street Bulls. He is Jeremy. You can check him out on Twitter @JHorwath11, and you check me out on Twitter @DylanJD98. Jeremy, what's going on? And did I get the last name right, my dude? It's Horwath. It's what is it?
You got it. You got Horwath. The one that finally got it right was Scotty when I was on Scotty Talks.
Okay.
But it's starting to come together. It is Horwath. Yeah.
Horwath. All right. I always thought there was an R like Worth before. Yes. And then I'm seeing not now, and I'm like, oh, wow, I guess I was mispronouncing it before. But my guy, Abe, checking in. Abe, what is going on? And we're going to start right there with the 76ers because I know that's what Abe wants to hear about, not these sluggish, lousy fighting Phils at the moment that we'll finish the show up with. But the Philadelphia 76ers take a commanding 2-0 series lead on the Toronto Raptors with back-to-back impressive performances on Saturday night and then again last night, beating Toronto by a combined 35 points through the first two games. And we got a lot to discuss. Tyrese Maxey looks like a star that has arrived. Tobias Harris has looked phenomenal, dropping 26 and then 20 and 10 last night. Joel Embiid with 31 and 11 last night. James Harden gave you 22 and 14 on Saturday. The scoring numbers and assist numbers were down last night. However, he just seems to be playing that kind of maestro kind of role right now, that conductor of the offense right now. Danny Green hit a couple threes last night. So the Sixers take a commanding lead, Jeremy. How are you feeling so far about this series?
Look, so this series, I love it. I love everything that's going on. Before the playoffs started, we all talked about it. James Harden needs to play the role, just like you said, of maestro. He needs to go out there and he doesn't have to be the guy to score the points like he was in Houston. He has to be the guy passing the ball around and making this offense run how it should be ran. So I love it. And that's what my key to winning this series was James Harden doing that. With everything else going on, Tyrese Maxey coming out and dropping 38 in the first playoff game. I don't think anyone saw that coming. We all wanted Tyrese Maxey to play really well, but 38 while Joel Embiid sits back and just doesn't even need to have a Joel Embiid kind of night is what's really going to help this team even further down in the playoffs is if Embiid doesn't have to drop that many points, which is crazy to say because all regular season, that's what we did need. If Joel Embiid didn't play the way he did in the regular season, we wouldn't be in the spot that we're at now. And now it just seems like a lot more is gelling together. The thing that I know last time I was on Phaithful Phanatics a few weeks ago, it was when, we were worried because they had like a 3-game losing streak when I was on. And both of us just kept saying, when the playoffs hit, we'll be fine. They'll be fine by the playoffs. These first two games, it's looking like they might actually be fine by the playoffs. So hopefully that continues to happen. I'm loving what's going on so far. The games have been so exciting, so I'm hoping that it keeps on staying that way.
Well, so far through two games, and it's a small sample size versus a Toronto Raptors team, it looks like that switch has been flipped a little bit, and not just by James Harden, because like I said, he only gave you like 14, 6, and 6 last night on not a great shooting percentage, but everybody else, like Tobias Harris, who was struggling to figure out his role, and he really struggled against Toronto in 4 games this season. He comes out and he's just taking advantage of these mismatches. He's playing phenomenal defense against Pascal Siakam on the defensive side of things. Joel Embiid, as you mentioned, he didn't have to play hero ball on Saturday night. He didn't have to drop 30 plus on Saturday night. Switch to flip. Yeah, I always get it backwards, dude. But You get what I'm saying, Abe. But he didn't have to play hero ball on Saturday night, right? I think he scored 19 and
19
whatever on 5 of 15, 5 of 16 shooting. But that's huge. That's a weight lifted off of his shoulders, not to have to carry the load. I want to start with one Tyrese Maxey because, dude, I always used to say I run out of things to say about Joel Embiid from a night-to-night basis, the things he does. And he did another one last night with that turnaround fadeaway three, and you saw the faces of Fred VanVleet and Thaddeus Young just sitting on the bench with no answer or response, right? Just like, oh boy, this is how it's going to be, right? But where I find myself right now with Tyrese Maxey. Dude, this kid, we just kept saying he's a rising star, he's a rising star, he's a rising star. Right, it seems like he's arrived. Like, goes out, gives you 38 on Saturday night, comes back. It's not just a flash in the pan, gives you 23 last night. 23. His 3-point numbers continue to just tick up. The moment's not too big for him. When Harden or Embiid or both of them are on the bench, that's what like he looks fine with them on the floor. But when they take a load off, they're winning those Embiid minutes. Yes, because the backup five is a little bit more productive than what the backup five was before, but because Tyrese Maxey's exploding in these few minutes that they're off the floor right now, or that Joel Embiid's off the floor, and he's a huge X factor, dude. I think there were a few that you and I talked about, right? Doc Rivers, which we'll give props to in a few minutes as well, but he and Tobias Harris were the two others that, okay, if you can get this. So I guess let's mix Tyrese Maxey and James Harden and maybe even Tobias Harris into one conversation here. Everyone's dying to see the 30-point James Harden explosion, the step back three at their step back three, the beating people off the dribble and getting into the lane and finishing through contact. And yes, it would be amazing to see it, right? And I'm not saying it won't happen. It's going to happen this postseason here and there. But you don't need that.
No.
And I know it's a lot of pressure to expect 20 plus a night from a young 21-year-old Tyrese Maxey. I know we probably shouldn't expect 20 plus a night from Tobias Harris, but if you're getting this kind of production offensively out of one of those two, if not both, with what you're going to get from Joel Embiid on a nightly basis, you don't need 25 to 30 point James Harden. You really only need 15 to 20 point James Harden. And the man is a complete and utter maestro right now. Like he's the best passer. I know we all fell in love with the passer that Ben was and the distributor that Ben was. And in the fast break, it was amazing. Harden's a better facilitator.
He is.
So you don't need that from James if Tyrese and or Tobias are giving you what they're giving you right now.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we have been saying about James Harden. As long as he keeps facilitating, if that is his number one job, which that's what it should be on this team, that's what he's set up for with the people he has around him, with the teammates he has, that should be his number one priority, is facilitating and just get some scoring on the side. Yeah, just like you said, a 30-point night out of Harden would be great. But if we see a 30-point Harden, that means he's not facilitating. And if we have a 30-point Harden, that makes me believe that we are probably struggling in this game if we need Harden to be that guy. That means Embiid's having a bad night. That means Maxey isn't having a good day. Tobias can't make a three. That's what that means. He needs to keep on facilitating. And I want to keep on saying need to, but last night, he really didn't. Just like you said, he went...
Need to score?
Yeah.
Oh, last night, no,
he had the score. He didn't really facilitate either because six assists, and the team still succeeded. They still won by 15. I mean, just I don't know what it is. I don't want to be like the downer or anything. It might be just because it's the Raptors and there's a lot more tougher teams in the East. Like I wouldn't expect this kind of outcome if we played I don't think it's gonna happen like that all the playoffs. But the fact that we don't have to be playing as great as we can, and we're still beating the Toronto Raptors by 15. I love it. I really do.
Yeah, dude, I'm with you. At this point, a James Harden 30-point night, I can see it happening. It can definitely, it's still realistic. I know the people that are, he's washed, he's slower, he's not the scorer. That's idiotic in my mind. He's definitely slower. Like I can see that with my eyes, but I know he can still go out and get you 25 to 30 on a given night. My point is, and what I mean to your point is, it would almost feel forced.
Yeah.
If I checked the box score, like if I didn't watch the Sixers game and I saw James Harden at 32 points, I would bet a lot of money that he had to take close to 20 shots for that to happen. And a lot of the offense would be ran through him. And like you said, Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris would probably have single-digit points, or one of them would have single-digit points. Embiid, again, I think you can get James Harden to average 22 to 24 for you, 25 maybe. But the people that want the Houston Harden, the 30-plus night Harden, it's less of it. It's exactly this. Efficient. It's less efficient. If he has to go out and get you 35, it's definitely possible. And I would love to see it. I would love to see James Harden take over a game, specifically when Joel Embiid's off the floor.
Yeah,
like that's when I'm looking for James Harden to be Mr. Take over the game, when Joel gets a couple minutes off the floor and he's out there with the bench unit, or Tobias in the bench unit. But we'll see. It's only 2 games. I firmly believe that the past week that they had practice-wise was a huge help. And when you hear them talk, you hear Joel talk and Tobias talk and Harden talk about how they challenged each other. Practice was a lot more physical. They battled with each other. That's huge. I want to get to a few of these comments here because they're important talking points in this series right now. Scotty, what's going on, my guy? We are crushing the Joel-less minutes with Paul Reed. Exactly. And it's not that Paul Reed is doing anything spectacular. Yeah. Paul Reed's not out there. It's not the 26-point night, obviously, that Paul Reed had against the Detroit Pistons, right? But Paul Reed, I believe, was a +8 last night. And he was a +12 for the first couple minutes that he was out there on the floor last night. They're technically winning the Joel minutes. That's this team. Like, I know you're not there. We spoke on it pre-show. This team will compete for a title. Like, they will make it to the NBA Finals if they win the Joel-less minutes. Because we know what they are with him on the floor. If they find a way to win those minutes, they will be competing for a title come June. I firmly believe that. But that's a big one. And yes, they have done a very good job of doing. How do I phrase this? We knew coming into the series that the Toronto Raptors did not have enough. At least I said that. Yes. You said the same thing, that the Toronto Raptors do not have enough talent they cannot out-talent the 76ers. What they can do is out-hustle, out-work, out-effort the Sixers, out-want the Sixers, beat them on the boards. We saw how bad the Sixers' transition defense has been. That has not been a focus at all. The Sixers have played clean games, specifically Saturday night. They've kept Toronto off the offensive glass for a large portion of these first 2 games. The Sixers have won the transition battle through the first 2 games. So the small details that Toronto needed to try to steal a game in Philly, they haven't even come out of the shadows, dude. And that's one thing. And that's more credit to Doc as well, where you had this team prepared at least and not playing down to a lesser talented team.
Yeah. They're just doing everything right at this point. Just plain and simple. Against this Toronto team, they are. And the defense has been incredible. Yeah. Totally incredible. And I really hate being the downer. I think that's kind of just like my persona for Philly. I mean, I love my Philly sports and everything, but I'm just the guy that just struggles to get too excited for these kind of things just because of what we've experienced these past 2 years. You know what I mean? And it's just a little bit hard for me. I don't want to get overexcited.
You don't want to get hurt. You've been cheated on before, and you're afraid to put all your trust into another girl because you don't want to get hurt again, Jeremy. I understand.
Do you know who that girl is, though? It's Doc Rivers. That's who I'm afraid to put my trust in. That's who it is.
If this team, let me try to put some faith into you right now. If this team is playing like they are right now on the floor, it doesn't matter what Doc Rivers does.
Right, but you're right. If they keep doing that. We had a 3-1 series last year, a 26-point lead in Game 7 against the Hawks last year, and we said if they keep playing like that, we'll be fine. But they didn't. And that's what worries. And I know it's a different team. We don't have Ben, and now we have Harden.
Different girl. It's a different girl, Jeremy.
But the thing is that it's still the same brain. It's Doc Rivers at the top of it.
But it's a different girl. There's no Mr. Pass out of an open dunk here anymore. There's James Harden. Tyrese Maxey was a non-factor last year, specifically in that series, and you see what he's growing into right now. Tobias Harris. I'm not saying Mr. 6 points Tobias Harris can't or won't come out at some point this postseason, but right now he's not, and that was an issue last year. Joel, different level of player, even though he was an MVP caliber last year, he's even better this year. Not turning the ball over as much this year. Different girl. I understand it. It's not the Negadelphia thing with you because I see that in other fans. It's the hesitant.
Yeah, exactly. I'm very.
I need to see like you need to get past the second round and then you'll buy in.
Then I'm
second round's been the hump.
That's it.
I'm in because
I love it.
I said, and here's what's fascinating about the outside people, not you, because I know you thought they would beat Toronto this year. I love, and it's constant in Philadelphia. I love how the field goal posts just keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. It's amazing to me because outside of Shaquille O'Neal, who when he said the Raptors were getting swept, I thought that was a little crazy. I thought this would be 6. I thought the Raptors would play tough each and every game. I'm not saying it's going to be a sweep. I don't think it goes past 5 anymore at this point with what I've been seeing. But outside of Shaquille O'Neal, everybody talked about how A, the Sixers could lose the series.
Yeah, that's crazy.
B, it'll be a dogfight. It's going 7, blah, blah, blah. Now, Sixers beat the Raptors by 35 points the first 2 games. Series probably not going past 5. And now the field goal post move.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're not going to – now they got to play Miami and I heard this morning it's a bad matchup for Toronto. Oh, whoa. Were you saying that last week when we were matched up with Toronto? I don't think so. Big Perk for sure.
He's been on it.
He's been riding with Maxey, Tobi, the Sixers, 110%. But a vast majority of national coverage. I saw the sheet that came out that had like Sixers and 6, Sixers and 7, Raptors and 6, right? All the people that picked the winner and how long ago. There were a lot of people that picked Toronto. Few little extra things, and we're not done with the Sixers yet, Jeremy. We got a little bit to go, but I got to come back up here because this has been a huge talking point through the first 2 games as well. Okay, let's have some fun. As Joel Embiid said, I told him respectfully. I want to say this respectfully because Nick Nurse, heading into the series, is a great coach in my mind. Like Nick Nurse, probably a top 5 NBA coach in my mind. Yet Nick Nurse is becoming unbearable. Like I said it in the group chat last night, and I'm legitimately starting to wonder. I get you're lobbying with officials. I get you're just planting those seeds when you say things to the media and in your press conferences because you want them to pick up on it because you know your team's undermanned and you're trying to get an edge in any way possible. I understand it. But there's a point of lobbying and there's a point of just being unbearably idiotic with it. At what point does Nick Nurse want to stop complaining and focus on the coaching aspect of his job? Nick Nurse is, in fact, the head coach of the Toronto Raptors, right?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Right. So you would think, like, coaching responsibilities would fall under his umbrella, correct?
Yeah, actually it does, yeah. Okay.
So during timeouts, when you're probably supposed to be coaching up your team, he's talking to the officials. When either team is at the free throw line, he's talking to the officials. When there's a steal or a turnover, a transition, he's complaining with the officials. When he's constantly, every call. Dude, Pascal Siakam pile drived Joel Embiid last night. And he's mind-boggled.
Yeah.
Mind-boggled. Pascal Siakam went up offensively and used his off arm to mug Joel Embiid's face down. I mean, Nick, if you want to go back and watch it, because I know he liked to mention how there was an open hand slap in game 1 that didn't get called or reviewed, right? You talking about that one? That he complained about, and Siakam had no idea what he did, right? Dude, they're becoming unbearable. You know how every year, like last year with the Hawks and the Wizards, like it's a series. It's a postseason series. So you get annoyed and agitated and you say, oh, I hate this team. But even when it wasn't a rivalry before. No, that's happening with the Raptors. They're becoming that unbearable because the players now and the fan base on Twitter who actually thought Joel Embiid purposely landed on Scotty Barnes' ankle and put him in a walking boot, right? They're taking on the attitude of the head coach. And it's just becoming so unbearable to watch, dude. It's like now at this point, like you're lobbying so much. I feel like the refs might just start doing it on purpose at this point. Like they might give the Sixers even more calls.
Yeah, just because they're annoyed
that they weren't getting before because you need to just shut up and coach, dude. Yeah, he's getting out coached by Doc right now. He is.
Hey, and that was one thing that before the series started, we were worried about the coaching matchup because we thought that we would get out coached. I was definitely on that part because Nick Nurse is a fantastic coach, and to me, I personally strongly dislike Doc Rivers. But even that hasn't even happened. It's just in every aspect, the Sixers have done everything better than the Toronto Raptors have, and the Raptors fans is what makes me laugh the most because the amount I've seen them on social media just saying the worst things. Like I saw a video earlier today where it's like, well, it wasn't even really Raptors versus Sixers. It was still Raptors versus Refston last night. I'm like, dude, stop. Like,
remember when they cheered when KD went down? Remember when they cheered when KD went down in the finals?
I do.
Or Achilles? But Philly. Philly are the bad ones, right? Like, dude, we're through 2 games right now. Like, I know we're saying, oh, this could be a sweep or 5 games. The series isn't over. If Toronto comes out and finds a way to beat Philly kind of convincingly on tomorrow night, brand new series, right? The Sixers have to shut the door on them, but it's bad, dude. Like Abe says you're supposed to establish an identity as a head coach. He's identifying as a full-blown can. You want to know what's amazing to me, Abe? What was the Sixers' record against Toronto this year in the regular season? 1-3. The Raptors were 3-1 against the Sixers this year. Short-handed. They didn't have Fred for like 2 or 3 of the games. I believe they were without OG for a game or 2, right? They were shorthanded those games. They played Joel every game, I believe, or 3 of the 4 at least. They found ways to win, right? There were no issues with the officials, correct?
Not that time.
No, none. But now that you can't stop Embiid, because instead of seeing him once every month and a half, you have to see him night in and night out, and you have no way to stop it. And my favorite part now is it's not even with the calls from Toronto. It's NBA fans. It's Sixers haters. It's the opponent's fan base talking about free throws.
That's what I was waiting for.
Oh, man. Oh,
did you see the one tweet? They said if the Sixers didn't have their bad call free throws, it would have been 87-86.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you?
Let's just remove that part of the game, man.
Let's just take away 30 points of the game and just.
Let's just karate chop Joel Embiid in the back of the neck when he's going up for a dunk, and don't worry about it. He won't go. Well, dude. Here's what we'll do. We'll just check up. There won't be free throws. We'll just check up at the top of the key. Does that work for you guys? Shut up.
It's bad.
Like you're just. When people tweet that or I see videos of it, I know people take the bait. I know not to interact with that person because that person lacks common knowledge and common basketball knowledge.
Like you. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's, excuse my language, that's asinine. Take away his free throws. But let me ask you, Jeremy, last year when Ben Simmons was getting hacked, right? Did anybody care that Philly was shooting so many free throws then? No. Do you know why?
Because they weren't making them.
Oh, okay. But the 7-foot monster who's shooting it at an 85% clip. Now that's the problem because the ball's going through the cylinder. Because those points. Because when you slap his arm, when you poke him in the eye, when you spear him when he's coming down the lane, those free throws are going to go in.
Yeah.
And he told Nick Nurse that. And I love it, dude. And I absolutely love it by Joel Embiid. You know what I like? He's making it a point too, because you know how he is. He's the best troll in the NBA right now, or one of them, right? And I know it's a lot of passion and him getting fired up, but have you noticed it like last night when he had like the 2 or 3 N1s that he got? He made it a point to not only get fired up, but to scream N1. Like Joel doesn't normally scream N1, right? But now you're starting to pick up on those subtle things that he says and does. Harden's flexing to the crowd. Everybody's getting into it. You're just feeding right into what Philly wants to do.
Yep.
And that's something we didn't even touch on in last night's game. Like, the Raptors came out after getting their ass whooped game 1, and they tried to bully the Sixers. They went on an 11-0 run to start the game. They tried to, out physical the Sixers. Sixers did a fantastic job of weathering that storm. Joel Embiid specifically said, okay, you had your run. Time's up. And that's kind of when the game went south. They even had it close within like the 5 or so minute mark of the second quarter. Then the Sixers had a 15-point lead at halftime. And they can't, obviously I know Toronto made it like an 11-point game, but that was their run in the second half. And then very quickly, Tyrese Maxey hit a 3 and someone else hit a bucket, and it's back up to 19.
Just cut it. It's
a game of runs. And if it's a 15-point game, then it's not out of reach. But once it gets to that 26, 28-point run, like Toronto went on like a 14-3 run, it was still 11. Then the Sixers go on a run and the game's back out of reach. Yep. So I'm trying to think of anything else within these first 2 games. The bench hasn't stood out yet. Like George Niang, Danny Green's obviously starting now, but Shake Milton, they've been okay. But the major point to me is they haven't done anything to cost you time. They're either even or winning the minutes that the starters are off the floor, which is critical going
That's
forward.
What a bench is for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not supposed to come out here and play incredible. And that's what we needed to calm down with in the regular season. Everyone was worried about the bench. You're worried about the wrong guys. Our starters are playing 41 minutes a game, and the bench guys are getting 7. I don't care. As long as they aren't totally destroying the game, I don't care. Come out there and play decent basketball. Keep the game at where it was before you got on the court, and that is your job. That is your only job, and that's what they've done so far. That's all they've had to do. So that whole bench talk, the whole really annoying where they think the bench was going to ruin the playoffs for the Sixers. Stop it. There's no way that would happen when they're in there for 5 minutes out of the entire game, and you have Tyrese Maxey and Embiid, all of those guys playing 40 plus minutes, because that's what the playoffs is all about. You're playing your starters. Your stars are going to be on the court way more than normal, and that's what's going to win you the game. The bench is very minorly going to affect it. Very minorly.
Shout out to this play as well last night. Danny Green.
What the hell was that?
Flashing back those UNC days.
That was great.
And then Joel's turnaround fadeaway 3 in the corner was
insane.
Otherworldly again. That's really it, dude. The Sixers, they found a way to win back-to-back games convincingly against a good team, a team that I thought could give them issues, maybe make every game close. They haven't done that. Tomorrow night is incredibly important. Incredibly. I think they can sweep Toronto, especially if they come away with a win tomorrow night. But you have to at least take one in Toronto and close it out in a gentleman's sweep at home in game 5. But the reason I say tomorrow is important is if you're going to let them get one in Toronto, let it be game 4. Mm-hmm. Because game 3, especially in the manner that you win or lose, I mean, any type of momentum you don't want to give back to this Raptors team. Like right now, they're depleted. You saw Fred VanVleet's face. Fred VanVleet came out last night and hit 4 threes to start the game. Yeah. Wasn't enough, right? I don't believe Scotty Barnes is going to be back. He's not going to be back tomorrow, I don't think. And I would be surprised if he comes back at all this series. He's in a freaking walking boot right now. They're shorthanded. They're not as talented as you. They have no answer for Joel Embiid. They're going small, dude. They're going small, and it's not working. Like, when a team goes small, like, let's say, you see what the Warriors are doing against the Joker and the Nuggets, which I want to get to in a second also. But you see what they're doing, and yes, they know they might take their bumps defensively here and there, but they're formidable defensively, and then they're using their small lineup to exploit Denver offensively. Toronto's going small. They're getting crushed defensively by it, and they have really no strengths out of it offensively. Like Siakam, Chris Boucher, Precious Achiuwa, they're not like quick enough. They're not blowing by Joel Embiid. Siakam, I knew he blew by George Niang when he had to play against him, but he's not getting by Tobias Harris easily. So they're going small, and it's not working. And if Nick Nurse would just focus on, I don't know, adjusting, coming up with a better game plan, and stop complaining about the officials and the calls, then, hey, you might have a different story. I just hope nothing stupid happens this series. Wow, I didn't see his finish numbers, but Fred VanVleet started with 4 threes, finished 7 of 23. And absolutely, I'll take it if the only person they can blow by is George Niang. Let's wrap up the Sixers segment with some MVP talk, because I know the ballots are already in. The deadline's passed, so there's no. It's a regular season award. It's not going to change, which I think is also flawed. But for every single person, every one of them that voted Nikola Jokic over Joel, Hans, and Embiid should have their vote revoked for the rest of time. If you voted Giannis,
that's fine.
All right.
Yeah,
Joel's still the MVP, but okay. Same level of dominance. Numbers are just as crazy. And you see how important he is to his team and what they're doing in the postseason. You see how Joel, Hans, and Embiid is playing right now in the postseason after his regular season. Nikola Jokic has been a minus. Hold on, I don't want to get this number mixed up. I believe he's been a minus 45 or 6.
It's 5. It's 45.
A minus 45 in 2 games in which the Golden State Warriors don't have a big. Like, so hold on. I get it. I know in game 1 he had like 27, 28 and whatever. I know last night before, again, this, which is getting talked about, because if Kevin Durant did it, if Joel Embiid did it, if Giannis did it, if LeBron James did it, it'd be all over ESPN and every other sports channel out there if they were in MVP consideration. But this dude, it doesn't get talked about. He gets slapped on the ass. I get it. It was a sarcastic slap on the butt last night, but he turns around like he's going to square up with the dude. Did you see the picture of him all out of shape and all, laying on the bench? Here's the best part. He doesn't have to do anything defensively. So everyone that wants to throw their statistics out there about what kind of defender he is and how he leads in this defensive statistic. Okay.
Vorp.
Well, hold on. Does Kevon Looney score for Golden State? No. He quite literally doesn't. When I checked the box score last night, he had 0. Yeah. Does Draymond Green, the other big that Jokic wouldn't even have to guard, but if he did guard him, does he really score?
No.
Oh, when I checked last night, Draymond had 4 points. Okay, so he's not doing anything defensively to have to stop the power forward or the center because they're not involved in the offense. And what are the guards doing to them? Now I know the guards are fantastic perimeter players, and they score a lot from 3 with Steph and Clay and Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins. I know what they're doing, but they're also getting to the paint, right? So he doesn't have to guard anybody down on the block, and he's not successful as a rim protector right now in this series. He's a minus 45 through 2 games in which his team has been ran out of the freaking gym, and he got ejected last night. But that's the MVP of the league.
MVP.
They should all have their future votes revoked. You should not be allowed to vote anymore.
It's terrible. It really is. Imagine if that did, just like you said, imagine if that did have an Embiid. I'd be so pissed if our MVP, the guy that's supposed to be leading this team, gets a smack on the ass and gets himself
tried
ejected.
to fight somebody.
in a playoff game against the Golden State Warriors, and you don't have anyone else. You are the guy on your team, and you react in that way to get yourself ejected.
You want to know what was awesome?
Damn playoff game.
You know what was awesome? Oh, remember earlier in the year when, again, Markieff Morris was wrong, but remember when he speared Markieff Morris in the back and put him out for like 2 months? Okay. The best part about it was he didn't get ejected from the slap on the butt thing. He got ejected later in the game when, I don't know, I didn't watch a lot of the game, so I didn't see if he wasn't getting calls on the offensive end, but he was on the post again. He was in the post against a smaller Draymond. Tried to go up and over Draymond. Draymond was straight up. Jeremy, like, I mean this. Like, even though I'm not a Jokic fan right now, because the voters have pissed me off, and the fact that he's going to beat Embiid has pissed me off, I would say if it was a foul, Draymond didn't foul him.
Yeah.
And he turned and went ballistic for his second tee on the ref. You know why he did that? Because he's a loser. He has a loser mentality. He wanted to get off the floor.
He didn't want to play anymore.
Yeah, he was done. Yeah. His team was down by 28 for the second straight game.
He gave up on his team. He truly gave up on his team. I don't care if you're down 20 with a minute left. If you are giving up like that to get yourself ejected, just like you said, you're a loser. You truly are. That is so terrible.
100%. Even if it was a legitimate foul, if he got slapped on the neck,
I don't care.
Ref missed it. You don't put yourself in that position to get tossed. It wasn't even a foul, and he acted like his nose got ripped off his body, and the ref didn't call it
in a playoff game.
Exactly, 100%. I wish I could pull up the picture right now, but we don't have time for it. Of him just slouched down on the bench with his eyes rolled in the back of his head, with his face redder than my cheeks are right now, looking like he can't play anymore. Not even the Raptors are that salty. No, they're not actually. But let's move forward, dude. Let's wrap up this show with some fighting Phillies talk. As the Sixers take on the Raptors tomorrow night in Game 3. Phillies are back in action tonight in Colorado against the Rockies at 8:40. Check out our DSM Media Phillies pregame show. Yuck. Not sure what that's going to be like tonight, as the Phils are off to a sluggish start, my guy. So the last time I believe you and I talked, we've chatted a bit, and I think we've been on the same page of relax, chill. Right? Like when people 5-6 games into the season, the same old Phillies, the bats, blah, blah, blah. I'm not worried, so to speak. Like I know Bryce Harper and Nick Castellanos and Kyle Schwarber are going to turn things around, and the bats are going to get woken up. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't agitated. Like, I'm not worried as far as it's mid-April right now. Like, I don't know if everyone knows that at the moment. It's mid-April. I know they're in 4th place, yes. But the Braves are also like 5-7 to start the year. The Marlins are above the Braves at like 4-6, whatever the Marlins. So obviously the Mets are off to a great start. They're tied right now with the Giants again, but the Phillies aren't in any bad shape right now. But it's agitating to watch. And I can't point my finger on it, so I just kind of want to run through it step by step. And I'd honestly say that the bullpen's been the most consistent thing right now.
Best part of the team right now, easily.
So the bullpen, let's get that out of the way. They've been fine. They're absolutely fine. I think the one game against the Mets, Nola got pulled, but he had only given up like 4. And the next thing you know, the bullpen gave up 5 runs and the game was just out of reach.
Yeah, outside of that,
outside of that, the bullpen's been fine. The bats, I don't know if they know the season started yet. And the starters can't get through 5 or 6 innings. Nola again last night. Now, is he to blame when the Phillies scored 1 run? Absolutely not. You're not going to win any game. But again, he gets to the 6th inning after throwing 5 clean, and the wheels start to fall off. Yeah. It's a problem, dude. Joe Girardi is a problem right now. We can talk about this lineup card because I don't know what the F he's doing. Get JT Realmuto out of the 1 hole. He should not be a leadoff hitter. I get it. Kyle Schwarber was looking horrible as your leadoff guy.
God awful.
Okay, so you give up on Kyle Schwarber 6 games in. You know what JT Realmuto did in his first game as the leadoff hitter, Jeremy?
Over 5 4 strikeouts.
Yeah.
Yep, I do. I do remember that.
You got, there was one thing we gave Joe props for when the season started, even when the lineup wasn't producing a ton. The top half, he was figuring things out with Didi and Stott and Bohm and Camargo, which we can fault him for that, but whatever. The 6 through 7 or 6 to 9 hole, you figure out as the season goes on. 1 through 5, he was steady. And as soon as things can look bleak for an extra 2 games, he didn't just swap JT and Schwarber. He moved everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It went from Schwarber in the 1 hole to the 5 hole, JT in the 6 hole to the 1 hole, Bryce in the 3 hole to the 2 hole, Nick in the 4 hole to the 3 hole, Reese in the 5 hole to the 4 hole.
He's 4.
Gene's been all over the place. 2 hole, 6 holes, 7 hole, 8 hole. Joe, can we get some sort of consistency? And by consistency, I don't mean JT Realmuto as your leadoff guy. Dude, Jeremy, help me out. What can he do, or what can these batters do to be productive? Because even them, dude, I watch their ABs, and it's future Hall of Famers. It's MVP candidates last year. And Bryce Harper, who, again, I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried about Nick Castellanos. I'm not worried about Kyle Schwarber. But their at-bats are horrific. The body language, the facial expressions look awful. They're swinging at balls in the dirt, and they're letting changeups go right down the pipe at 87. They're taking first pitch down the middle, swinging at ball 2. They're swinging at ball 1, taking off of strike 1 the following pitch. Their at-bats are horrible right now.
They're bad. And first things first, I don't say I'm on a completely different side of you, but Joe Girardi, I'm actually not too upset with right now. I get it. He's moving a lot of stuff around. The guy can't control how these other players swing.
No. I know that.
And I know. And these guys are struggling really. Kyle Schwarber is looking like one of the worst hitters in the first 11 games that you can look like. I love that he got moved around. I don't want him to play so bad to where he is moved. I love Schwarber. Something has to be done. Playing Schwarber and having him keep on getting the most at-bats in the lineup, leading him off, needed to stop. JT was the hot hitter at that time. Before he went 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts, he was leading the team in batting average, getting on base the most. The game before that, he hit 4 for 4, and then he had an off day, and then he led off. Finding that leadoff hitter is a little bit struggling. He also is one of the faster guys on the team, JT Realmuto, even though he's a catcher. Again, I don't want JT at the number 1 hole, at the number 1 spot, but who is supposed to be there? Gene Segura has not played very well. Bryce Harper is not a leadoff hitter. Castellanos isn't. There isn't really many leadoff hitters, and right now, I think that's what Joe's trying to figure out. You have to try new things. Having guys keep on trying to hit out of a slump, it's not seeming to work. He had Schwarber for almost 10 games in a leadoff spot, and he had 2 hits out of it. Out of 10 games in a leadoff spot.
10 games should not change your entire lineup. That's something that we as fans will complain about. As a manager, you got to have some longer patience.
And look, again, and I do agree with that. I like that we moved Schwarber. I didn't like, however, that we moved Harper and Hoskins getting moved around.
Not everything.
I'm not a huge fan of that, but I don't know. It's weird because it might be something that I just always like Joe Girardi, but I don't know. I don't like that he's doing this, but I don't think it's a huge problem in my eyes. Everyone's hitting bad. Maybe everyone needs to change just a little bit of a change, and maybe it can work out a little bit better. I'm not really sure. Something needs to be done, though, because if we keep on doing the same thing over and over, if that lineup, that 1 through 5 was steady through 10 games, and absolutely nothing was happening, like zero, like nothing was getting done. The reason why we won our other games is because of the bottom of the lineup. It's crazy to say, because of one random DD hit and Bryson Stott having a couple 2 for 4 games. That's what was happening. It wasn't Castellanos having a good day. It wasn't Schwarber. It wasn't Harper.
No, I know.
That's why it needs to look. And these bottom of the lineup guys were playing better when they kept on they were getting moved around and they were fighting for where they were supposed to hit. These top 5 guys knew they were staying in these spots over and over. You want a better place in the lineup? Maybe hit a little bit better. Maybe that's the attitude he's going for. I'm not really sure what Joe's doing. Something needed to be changed, though, because that 1 through 5, where we're supposed to be a top 3 hitting team in the league, was looking absolutely horrendous. And why we even looked decent was because of the bottom of the lineup. Something had to be done. I don't know if this is the answer, but no one really does.
I get it, but again, 10 games is something that fans can get upset at and say we need to do this, do that, not the actual manager. And if you want to tinker with the leadoff spot because Schwarber was 0 for his last 18 with 8 strikeouts and he wasn't getting on, yada, yada, then you can flip-flop something there. You don't move your entire 1 through 5 around and mess with all of that. And the bottom of the lineup as well. I don't discredit him. I don't blame him for tinkering with that half. Johan Camargo has played far too often so far to start this season. I get it. Better fielder than Alec Boehm or anybody we have on the left side.
He's been playing well.
Not really. The bat.
He slowed down, but he started off hot.
He had like his first 2 games. He played well at the plate. He hasn't since.
No.
Boehm was far too hot in the batter's box to not play, but Joe wasn't. And then of course he gets to start last night and goes like 1 for 4. Didi I know he ripped a double last night. Should not be in the lineup at this point. Gene could, dude, I don't know. The center field position is somehow worse than it was last year. And last year was the worst we've ever seen. Like before it was the bullpen that's like, oh, it's historically bad. Following year, oh, it can't be worse, can it? Yes, it can. Following year, it can't be worse, can it? Yes, it can. Center field's the same way now, right? Like Mickey Moniak, I need you to hurry the hell up.
Yeah, you need to get back here.
Because Muzziotti and Matt Vierling cannot play at the moment.
No.
But yeah, it's right now. I think this team's main issues are the fact that the bats just are not productive, mixed in with the fact that the starters can't get deep into games. But what does it matter when you can't score more than 1 or 2 runs a ball game, where you're getting shut out to the 8th? There's a lack of energy and momentum because every game, Jeremy, they start slow. Every game they are down by the 3rd or 4th inning. That's not a recipe for success. No. It's just not. And one of the most infuriating things to me through the first 4 series so far is just when you think these batters that I know are going to wake up. Again, I'm not worried about Harper or Schwarber or Castellanos. I'm not. But just when you think, okay, that's a turning point, it's not. Like Schwarber rips a bomb. Or let's backtrack a little bit. Schwarber comes into Miami, leads off, rips a double off the wall, scores in the first inning. He finished the rest of the game 1 for 5 with 2 Ks and a double play in the 9th inning when the leadoff runner got on down by 1 run.
Yep.
Then he gets benched. He gets moves around. He hits a bomb in the last game, late in the game against Miami, like rips one, right? Okay, maybe that's something he can hold on to. Comes out the next 2 games or next game, 0 for. Bryce gets a late inning home run. Okay, maybe that's the Bryce we need. Or last night, Bryce takes a single right back up the middle in his first at-bat in the first inning.
Doesn't get a hit.
For the rest of the game. Bad at-bats the rest of the game. Rhys Hoskins starts the season hot.
He's looked so bad.
Nothing. Like you mentioned, JT Realmuto, 4 for 4, day off, 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts in the leadoff spot. Like any type of momentum these dudes seem to get, it's gone like that. Castellanos has been fine.
Yeah, he's the only one.
But even him, like he's really been a 1 for 4 a night kind of dude. Yeah. Maybe he has a walk mixed in there with a double. Like he's been fine, but nothing spectacular. And when you mix that in with Bryce struggling, Schwarber struggling, JT struggling, Hoskins struggling, the center fielder doesn't have a hit yet to start the season. Bryson Stott was 0 for 5 with 5 Ks in one game. Didi sucks. Like, now we got problems. So, I don't know, man. As we wrap this show up, They have a game tonight. If they lose tonight, they're going to lose 3 straight series after winning the opener against the A's. What are your thoughts here? Kyle Gibson on the bump, and then for the Rockies, Freeland got paid today. So I don't know if that's a little more incentive for him, or sometimes, I'm good. Like, we got to, what's important tonight for the Phillies?
Look, and it's something that we say pretty much about every game. You just got to start off. You need to have a hot start. And against this Colorado team in Coors Field, what's been worrying me the most is if you put the bat on the ball in this ballpark, it carries. You can hit the ball. If you hit the ball really hard, it's gone. No matter what. But what we've seen, this team cannot touch the ball with the bat. We have struck out so much.
And even when they make contact, it's weak contact.
It is. But when you look at if you can't even get the ball on the bat, Castellanos 11 strikeouts, Harper 13, Schwarber 13, Hoskins 12, Realmuto 11. All of those more strikeouts than they have hits this year. Not just strikeouts. They have more than hits this year. All of them. Every single one of them have more strikeouts than hits.
That's a great stat.
If you're in Colorado now. Freeland, he's really not that great of a pitcher, and you are in Colorado. If you put the bat on the ball, you have a much significant chance of winning this game more than normal just because of the park you are in. We need to stop striking out. Stop with the swings and misses. It is absolutely ridiculous what's going on.
Everything's low. Everything's low in the zone.
Everything.
They're all going after it. And then when they go low in the zone, I saw Bryce do it twice last night. Low, bait him. And I see, I'm watching it, and I know what's about to happen. I see the catcher raising up as he's in the windup. I'm like, here comes high gas. Bryce whiffs, helmet almost falls. You just see it, dude. 9th inning comes up. 4-1 game. I get it. It seems a little bleak, but you got Bryce, Nick, Reese. Put something together. First pitch swinging at a ball at his shins to dribble it to the first baseman. You talk about just no momentum. You set the tone for the rest of your team as the leader. Again, I know we're kind of ripping into the guys that we're not worried about, but they're the ones that have to set the tone, set the pace for this lineup and this roster, and they haven't done a good job of that yet. My question for the Phillies is it's super early, but when is enough for you? When is the next ass kicking versus the next ass kicking enough? Okay, you lost the last one to the A's, but you won the series. You come from behind with a great win against the Mets, then you get your ass kicked for the next 2 days. Okay, now we go to Miami. What do? Ass kicked for the first 2 games of that series. Oh, we get one.
Oh,
good.
We take a big one, too.
The biggest ass whipping is in game 4 against them. Okay, they lost 3 or 4 in bad fashion to the Marlins on Easter Sunday.
Yeah.
You come out the next night in Colorado with Nola on the bump, 1 run. When is enough for these great hitters? That's the one thing they're not going up against Scherzer and DeGrom and Walker Buehler and Urias and they're not. They've gone up against
Taijuan Walker.
Right. Ty McGill killed them. Taijuan Walker was killing them before he got hurt.
Yeah,
Scherzer was one of their better performances of the day, and they got killed that night. I'm not worried.
No.
But I'm agitated because I look forward. I'm genuinely, while the Sixers had that week off and the Phillies were starting with this new, and I still am. I'm genuinely excited to sit down and watch them every night. I'm excited to do the pregame show and talk about them. But night after night now for about a week, it's just a depleting feeling. I go to bed after. I'm like, Jesus Christ! Tomorrow are they going to turn it around? Well, okay. Well, they didn't do it tomorrow. The next night, are they going to do it tomorrow? No, they got their ass kicked again. Enough has to be enough at some point. You're too talented to keep losing and not produce. So we'll see if they can turn it around. Tonight's a big one because, like I said, you lose tonight. Not only are you a threat to get swept by the Rockies.
Rockies are a terrible team, by the way. Can we please put that out there?
You've already confirmed with a loss tonight that you're going to lose this series after losing a series to the Mets and then the Marlins. So this is a big game for the Titans tonight. And yeah, Phillies are playing. Yeah, 100%. They're sinking right now, and someone's got to pull them out of it. Night after night, we just hope that, okay, here comes Bryce with a bomb and Cassian and Schwarber, and these guys turn it up. So we'll see. But again, it can't just be a one night type of thing. You had the night in Miami when they scored 10 runs. The following day, they came out and scored what, 2?
Like that 10-run game, by the way, didn't even look that great. Not like they were hitting bombs or anything. It was bad plays by Miami, a lot of walks. It really wasn't even a big win, like 10-3 looks like.
The Castellanos steal and then walks back to first, then Harper gets in.
Like, that's what started it all. And if that's how we're gonna win games, it sucks. But and again, like I know like we're saying all of this, but in the end, I still truly believe in this team. I still think like even like I catch myself like just need to relax a little bit. When you sit back and think about it, they had a really short spring training. They just got out of a lockout to where they were worrying more about how they're going to get paid than how to play baseball. They're going through a lot of the motion. You look at this division, there's one team over 500. You have the defending champions having their one game ahead of us, so there's a lot happening. I really do think if we all just relax, it will change. I truly believe that. Just like you said, we have a lot of talent on this team. The reigning MVP, Nick Castellanos, who was an MVP candidate last year, made a lot of moves. The other thing, we got to stop expecting stuff out of Nola, too. That's what I see a lot on social media. He's not a 1 or 2 guy anymore.
The definition
he really
of insanity is the same, expecting the
same thing. Yeah,
happen over and over again and have a different outcome.
Yes, and Aaron Nola, he isn't that guy anymore. It sucks. We all want him to be. We all love Aaron Nola. He's not like that anymore. He's a 5-inning kind of guy, which if you can get 5 innings out of him, that's great and everything, but I know we were expecting more. If you keep putting in your head that it's going to happen, you're just going to drive yourself insane. Stop expecting it. Expect 5 good innings, but after that, expect something crazy. You said it right down there. Need to pull Nola before the 6th inning. 100%. That's just what needs to happen. I'm with it. That's what we need to start expecting. Nola to pitch not as much. The team will figure it out. Don't stress about Zach Wheeler either. I know he had a terrible game the other night, just coming off of this injury and being sick and everything. We just need to relax a little bit. The Phillies will be fine. We will make the playoffs, especially with this expanded playoffs. We will be fine.
My 90 win prediction is looking a little bleak at the moment, though.
I still think they can do that, though. I really
100%. Like I said,
wait until they get hot, man. Everyone's going to be on a totally different level.
Right. Exactly. It's just we're at like an extreme low at the moment.
Yes.
Because it's brand new, and we get Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos, and Harper has all this protection in the lineup, and we haven't seen any production out of it yet. You need it to happen. You got to take the next 2 against Colorado. Like you said, they're a bad team. They are not good.
Yeah.
Go get these next 2, win this series, and then you're home. And you're home against Milwaukee, obviously this weekend. Then Colorado, and then you might have the Mets. I forget what they have mixed in. But guys, that is going to wrap up this Tuesday edition. I forgot what day it was. This Tuesday edition of the Phaithful Phanatics Show, as we stream to you guys live every time on DSM Media on our Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook channel. If you're new to the channel, click that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Like this video. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So that would mean a lot to us. We're also on Twitter at DSM_media. The link tree is in our bio to take you to every social media platform where we are available on. You can find me on Twitter at DylanJD98 and my co-host today, Jeremy at JHorwath11. Everybody have a great night, and let's go Fightins.
Let's go Fightins. Come on.